Okay, so Carnegie Learning curriculum, that is this textbook right here. So I'm actually recording a video for Math 8 and Algebra 1 at the same time, just because it's pretty much the same textbook and the front materials are the same for both. So we have Carnegie Learning, this is Algebra 1, is this green book, and then Carnegie Learning Course 3, that's for Math 8. And this is just some information about the curriculum, which is the same thing as the textbook. All right, so organization of the all-in-one textbook workbook. So I keep calling this a textbook. It's actually a workbook. I'm going to switch my camera to my document camera, and I'm just going to use the Math 8 book, but it's the same for Algebra 1. So I'm switching my camera. Let me make it bigger for a minute. Oh, come on. I guess that's as big as it'll let me get, but that's okay. So, and it's of course flipped, so that's going to make it harder to read. But so we have our textbook. In the front of our textbook, you will see this FM down here. That stands for front material. So of course there's all of the giving everybody credit for what they've done. You'll see the table of contents, so you can be flipping through. So in the front materials, you are also going to find examples of assignments. You're going to find the problem types that you will see. Okay, and I'm going to show you an example of an actual assignment or an actual lesson in just a second. But there's the academic glossary, and then we have habits of minds. So I'm going to move slides forward for just a second and move that out of the way. So we have in that textbook, you're going to see this icon in random places. So anytime you see that icon in a lesson, that means you're either using the math practices reason abstractly and quantitatively, and constructing viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others. So if you see that head with the puzzle piece, that's what that lesson is dealing with, which math practice. We have this hand with the gear. That's model with mathematics or use appropriate tools strategically. The target looking one is attend to precision. And then the cube looking one is looking for and make use of structure, look for and express regularity and repeated reasoning. So I'm going to move, sorry, you can see my arm, but so I'm going to move to a lesson, and I'm going to try to find one of those pictures. I'm not going to find one on the first one that I look at, because that's the way it never works, right? Oh, here's one. So you can see, and of course I know it's backwards, but you can see this icon. So that means we're going to look for and make use of structure and look for and express regularity. So it really doesn't matter, I guess, to you guys, but more of, for me as a teacher, these are the math practices that I know that we're working on. And those also pop up in the Algebra 1 workbook as well. So each lesson, so I'm going to go to a lesson. Actually, first I'm going to talk about the organization of the book and all of the numbering, because that kind of was weird to me. So you're always going to see a module. So we have modules, and in each module, you're going to have some topics. So the first module we're going to be doing in Algebra 1 is transforming geometric objects. Our first module in Algebra 1, if I could get it to open to the right page, looks like a bunch of gibberish, but it's actually searching for patterns. So that's module 1. Then within a module, like I said, you have topics. So we have modules, topics, and then in each topic, you will have lessons. And that is the same for Math 8. So you'll have module, topic, then lessons. So lesson 1 is for Math 8 is patty paper. If you noticed in the front of your Math 8 book, you had a Ziploc, or you should have had a Ziploc with this really thin paper. Hopefully you kept those in there. You could have looked at them, but hopefully you found or had patty paper. If you didn't, email me and I will give some to the front office, or we will figure out how to get you some. If anything, we can just mail you some. So this is called patty paper. You actually buy it. Just notice it says microwavable. You actually buy it at like food service places, and it's the stuff that they put between frozen hamburger patties so that they don't stick together. But it's really nice. You can see that you can see through it. Notice we're doing transformations with slides, flips, and spins. So you'll actually be able to take the paper and reflect, or you'll be able to take the paper and rotate. So I just wanted to talk about that real quick. Sorry, Algebra 1 students, you had to hear that. We don't need that in Algebra 1. You'll use it when you get to geometry next year, but not in Algebra 1. So each lesson, I wanted to talk about this. So each lesson will start with a warm-up. We will sometimes do these, sometimes we won't. You'll have your learning goals. You have your key terms, so your vocabulary words. And then you have getting started, so like the getting started activity. Then you'll have activity 1.1. Then you would have activity 1.2. What's really nice about this textbook, and why I keep calling it an all-in-one textbook workbook, is if you notice this page right here has the cuts. We will actually be cutting out this page, or tearing out this page from in our first lesson, and then you'll be cutting these out and we'll be rearranging them. I don't think Algebra 1's first lesson does that, but let me go look. Yes, so Algebra 1, this is our first lesson. Notice it says lesson 1 down here, and then it says graph cutouts. So we will actually be taking these and cutting them out as well, and then rearranging them. So that's what's nice about this book. It's all in one. After the cutouts, you will also have an assignments page. Oops, I went the wrong direction. Assignments page. And I will tell you which questions every time we're going to do from the assignment. Sometimes we'll just do it in Schoology if I can, or if I decide that there's different practice that I think would be more beneficial, then we will do that. But so here's the assignment page for the first lesson for Math 8. So like I said, we had learning goals, key terms, getting started. We had activities, and then some of the lessons have those cutouts, which I just showed you. Each assignment, there's an assignment which has practice, and then actually on the back of that, you will see stretch. So if you're a person that you're not being challenged, this is the stretch or the extension piece. So you could always come into the book and do those if you would like. You could also do review, and this is review of stuff that you might need before the next lesson, or it's just stuff like when we get later in the year, it will be stuff that you've done so that you don't forget about it. Mathia, I talked about this in my last video, but Mathia is the online component for Carnegie Learning. It's not fully functioning yet for students. I can get on it, but for some reason students aren't being able to. So we will wait for that. But as soon as I can get, as soon as it is working, I will record a video with more details on how to use it. It's just, it keeps saying that it's not working with Clever. So that's our workbook. That's all I wanted you guys to look at for today, was how to, or what all's included in the workbook / textbook. And then tomorrow we'll be starting our first actual lesson with your textbook. So please make sure if you're in Math 8 that you have the Course 3 book. If you're in my Algebra 1 class, that you have the green Algebra 1 book. You do not want Course 2, that's 7th grade, and you don't want to have Algebra 1 if you're not in Algebra 1, and if you're in Algebra 1, you want to make sure that you have Algebra 1. Okay, so that is the end of this video. See you guys in the next one.